What if I told you that the film Coraline has an extremely hidden backstory, one which took a year and a half to piece together, and one which ties up every loose end that the film has to offer? This is the ultimate Coraline theory. Hello, I'm the Theorizer. Coraline truly is the series which defines a large part of this channel. Out of all of the animated movies with mysteries, this one seems to trump all of them. Out of everything which is ever requested on this channel, Coraline demands just keep coming and coming. And with demand, certainly will eventually come supply. And although it may look like I wrapped up everything with my sixth theory, there was still more in this movie that intrigued me, and today we'll be delving into even more as I try putting it into my grand theory, which is honestly more like a brutally in-depth fan fiction with plethoras of evidence, but let's add another chunk to this, since I've been researching a lot since Part 6 was released on Halloween. But first, the usual recap. And be warned, this is going to be a big recap. Part 1 was what kicked it all off. I'd watched Coraline many times, but in October 2015, I noticed something new. The old well which we see in the movie clearly has some kind of direct tie to the Otherworld portal. If you look at the tunnel and compare, there's a direct correlation. This is where I kick things off by proposing that the well may be another portal. And for those of you who don't know, I do come up with all of these theories by myself. I don't find them elsewhere on the internet. I'm quite adamant about that with these Coraline theories. Anyways, this first theory didn't cover much, so I created a second theory about a day later. In this video, I covered all of the secrets, Easter eggs, hidden mysteries, and hints that the movie displayed. And then I used both parts 1 and 2 to make a massive giant theory on the timeline of Coraline. This was still in October 2015. This video was okay, but it wasn't my best work at all. But what it did do correctly was establish a large piece of the timeline, who the ghost kids were, when they all moved into the house, etc. I was done with the film at this point. There wasn't a whole lot else I could add to my theory, and then I watched the film a few more times and suddenly got an idea so weird that it might work. Could the Beldam actually be a human? I began to work around this idea and compose my fourth video. This one spiked my channel to 50,000 subs and really kicked things off for me. But that isn't all. It spawned a chain of Coraline theorizing on YouTube, which to my knowledge hasn't exactly ended yet. Many of these theories were revolving around the idea of my theory, that the Beldam was human and that the cat was another victim. When I started with part 1, I could only find a few Coraline theories on the web, like that Coraline is about mind control, but my jump into the lore suddenly blasted across the internet like a bomb. This chain hasn't ended, and now everybody's sharing their ideas on this. And so, by all of my viewers and by every single theorist who spawned from my theory, there was an immediate demand for Part 5, which came a few months later. In Part 5, I wrapped up all of the unexplained questions in Part 4 and constructed another grand theory, but I wasn't done. Soon, I made Part 6 to answer even more unexplained questions, and so here we are. We sit right here at Part 7. The horror never ends. What we're going to do in this video is delve into the things that the filmmakers removed from the actual movie itself. The deleted scenes. We are also going to rewatch the movie with a whole new lens again, and then produce something out of it. Finally, I'll make a whole other video explaining the entire timeline which was produced by theories 1 through 6. Let's get started. So there wasn't a whole lot removed from the movie, but they did remove 2 core scenes, which I feel define the movie to a certain extent. When Coraline is bored and is mumbling on to her mom about how she is bored, a spider that was stuck inside of a flower comes out, and Coraline throws it backwards. It lands in her mom's coffee mug. It sits there for quite a while, and then right after her mother drinks from the mug, the spider runs away. So weird. And so interesting, considering how the other mother is a spider-like figure, and she needed to pose as Coraline's mother in order to lure Coraline to her world. It's almost like this spider is taking her DNA or something to bring back to the Beldam. The other important deleted scene is when we see Coraline draw plenty of swirls across a notepad, and it transitions into those huge swirling clouds. Kind of bizarre, right? Yet again, it is the Beldam. She is controlling the world and is creating things which Coraline enjoys. It all gets pretty weird, but it's always fun to check out what they removed from the movie, and then guess why they removed it. So those were the deleted scenes, but before I watch the movie with a new lens, I'm gonna do something I never thought I'd do. In part 6, I said a ton of things, as usual, but many of the things I said were anticlimactic at best. For example, this framed picture of the blue boy. I could have gone in depth as to how it was tied to the Beldam, but instead, I claimed that it was more likely that the Jones family had brought it with them, and was a part of their unpacking. But then I realized, and got a ton of comments telling me, that when Coraline was going around the house counting all of the windows and doors, she noted down a picture of one boring blue boy, implying that she hadn't seen it before. So today, I am going to explain the awesome repercussions that would arise if it were the Grand Dame's picture. There was also the chance that it could have been left there by the other 3 or maybe even 4 previous families living there, but I'm going to assume it was drawn in the mid-1800s like the painting implies. So it was the Beldam's pick. What does this mean for the story? Well, prepare yourselves. I'm about to blatantly say one thing which counters against every single Coraline video I've made henceforth. The blue boy was the Grand Dame's son. This is a point which I've been holding off on revealing ever since my first Coraline video. It was a theory which I had from the very beginning, and which I never really wanted to make a video on. But seeing as how I've established so much already, and seeing as how dozens upon dozens of my viewers have also told me I should look into it, I think I'll finally cover it. The boring blue boy is basically used to contrast Coraline's boredom and her excitement, but he has a huge effect on the lore in general, and therefore I must treat him as more than just a random painting. He seems to be rather important to the Beldam. The study room is the only room that remains in the other world by the time Coraline faces off with the Beldam, and the Pink Palace has countless paintings strewn all over the walls. But this one, it has some kind of significance. His picture in the real world is kind of depressing. He has lost his ice cream to the cruel fate of gravity, but in the fake world, he's happy. Once again, this is to contrast the differences between both worlds. It's a tactic not only used by the filmmakers, but by the Beldam herself to convince the kids. However, the fact that she keeps up the painting even when Coraline realizes that the world's a winding web of death shows that the Beldam holds this picture quite dearly to her. The Beldam, despite her evil, has the clear touch of a mother. She knows how to parent, she knows how child psychology works, and ignoring her evil, you can tell she does love Coraline to some extent. Or she's trying to fill the void left by a dead child, and failing. So, I propose the idea that the other world is more than just a trap that the Beldam got herself locked into. I propose that either the child had died, and this was her way of remembering him, or her child was with her, in on all of this, posing as someone who's always been there, helping out the kids fall into his mother's trap. Oh, look, we do have a character like that. See this mirror? As I said in the previous theory, no parent in their right mind is going to endanger their child like this, to ask them to come and save them. Even mildly neglectful parents like Coraline's know far better than this. It's selfish and weird considering the way their characters act in the rest of the movie. This vision in the mirror, it isn't real. At all. It is the Beldam, again, producing a fake image to lead Coraline back to the other world, and guess what? Coraline wouldn't have even seen this if the cat didn't wake her up and lead her to see it. And then what do we see? We see the cat grab the parent's doll. How does he even know where to find it? And tell me again why this doll is so important. If the Beldam can just take Coraline's parents, then why would she need a doll to spy on them? It makes no sense. Unless it's all done to lure Coraline back in. Notice also how Coraline is about to dispose of the key and the cat gets in her way and meows at her to stop, as he doesn't know what she'll do with it. I mean, the cat does go for Wybie to help in the end, but what is the end game? Death to Wybie. The goal, perhaps? And we see him use the portal at the end, implying that his mother did indeed receive the key that fell down the well. When he figured out that she was going to toss it down the well, he relaxed, and brought Wybie in as well. Death. Notice how he's always with Wybie, walking around with him. Now, this can either be protecting him from the other mother, or him preparing him for the other mother. Remember what Wybie says. It wasn't his idea to give Coraline the doll. It was the cat's. And the doll spies on kids. things just got real dark. With the Grand Dame calling her son vermin, everything is sold. Coraline chucks him at the Beldam, he claws out her eyes, selling it, giving Coraline the last eye to level the playing field and convince her of his heroism. But do I think all of this is correct? No, I do not. I don't think the cat is totally evil or anything, but I do believe he may possibly be the boy in the picture, the blue boy who the Beldam lost long ago, who she built an empire for her dead child, where all of his dreams could come true, where he never lost his ice cream, where they could infinitely have fun. And what about the fact that he's a cat? Either it's out of reincarnation or due to something terrible that happened in the other world, or perhaps, and this makes the most sense, her son simply died, and she spends decades attempting to compensate while simultaneously trying to keep herself alive. So that's all fine and good. I don't know if the cat is good or evil, or if he's even the boy, but I can, more definitively, say that the boy in the painting is the Beldam's son. But there is another part to this new theory. Other Wybie and the other father, they're the only other people who defy the Beldam. Originally, I said it was because they had more soul sand in them, giving them more control of themselves. But then I realized, it's more like they're facades, faking it. The other Wybie saves Coraline from the mirror room and brings her through the portal. But I want you to notice something. The portal isn't the same. It leads her back to the real world, or so we think. No, in this world, casual old ladies have a device that lets you take advantage of another world. Why on earth would they have this? Exactly. It ain't on Earth. It's another level of the fake world, put there, where her parents haven't returned home yet. And when Coraline officially does return home, what do we see? It's the exact same time and weather as when she entered initially, right after her mom left. Coincidence? Nope. And the snow on their clothing? Also a fiction derived from the Beldam's control of the real world. When Coraline actually returns home, notice how the Beldam makes a really hard attempt at trying to stop her from leaving, whereas when Wybie helped her escape the first time, she casually walked down the stairs. All of it leads into a trap. Finally, I have even more evidence for Part 5's theory that the Beldam controls the real world. Look at the swirling clouds above Coraline in the well scene. Magic. Or even the hand. How else could she control it unless her magic seeped out into the real world? And so, I leave you with more ideas to ponder over in the comments section. I want to hear your ideas. And soon, I will release one final timeline, which details the events of everything I've theorized on, all the way from Part 1 to Part 6. But not including this part, as it was a separate theory on the Blue Boy and the Cat. So see you very soon, and until next time, I'm the Theorizer. Why not check out my third channel? Basically, it's a massive epic story I've created, which I'm telling in the form of animation. It's only got around 2,000 subs, and it's where I spend a lot of time, so why not check it out by tapping the icon? You can't search up the Theorizer 3, it ain't called that. See ya.